Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Don passed along a story to me that caught my attention, and this is going to be one of those things, it's like the wave of the future. But first of all, and this is from Cleveland.com, Ohio's new $100 fee for hybrids and $200 fee for electric vehicles goes into effect next week. So what's happening is, in the old days, you bought a car and you drove it, and you paid to register it. And as you bought gasoline for your car, part of the price of the gasoline included road tax. Depending on which state you're in, it could be a lot, it could be a little bit less. In other states, I know of situations where people live near a state line and they often buy their gas in the other state because they have lower road taxes. So here's the deal. People have pointed out that if we start transitioning over to electric cars, the states are going to lose the money they're getting off the road tax on the gasoline. So they need some way to make that up. So one way to do it is to slap an extra fee on electrics and hybrids. So this is happening in Ohio, but it's happening elsewhere also. So we'll start with Ohio. Owners of hybrids and electrics in Ohio will soon owe more money when they renew their vehicle registrations. Starting in 2020, January 1st, higher annual registration fees go into effect. The higher fee is $100 for standard hybrids and $200 for electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids. That's a substantial increase over the current fees, which for passenger vehicles start at just $34.50 and can run more depending on where you live. The new fees are part of the most recent state transportation budget bill passed by the legislature there in Ohio and signed into law by Mike DeWine in April. These were created to accompany a tax hike in the state's gas tax, which is 10.5 cents for conventional gas and 19 cents for diesel. And that, of course, is to pay for road and bridge construction and upkeep. The lawmakers there in Ohio reasoned that if conventional vehicle owners were forced to pay more at the pump, the fees would make sure electric and hybrid vehicles owners paid more also. The new fees are expected to cost hybrid and electric owners an extra $15.8 million when it's all added up. That's according to the Legislative Service Commission, which is nonpartisan. And that money will be split between the state's highway operating fund and local governments. So the question, of course, is if it's happening in Ohio, where else might it be happening? So I decided to look this up. CNBC ran an article, but it's based on a study done by Consumer Reports. And the story I'm getting to you here came out just a couple months ago, so it's fairly recent. But a new Consumer Reports analysis shows that of the 26 states that have electric vehicle fees, 11 charge more than owners of gas-powered cars pay in gas taxes. Okay, the move in some states to higher EV fees has been led by the American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC. It's a think tank advocating policies of limited government, free markets, and federalism. Electric vehicles accounted for 1.8% of the market share in the U.S. in March of 2019. So 1.8%. That's going to climb, I suspect, but it's still pretty small. Electric vehicle owners in some states are paying higher annual fees for driving zero-emission cars than their gas-guzzling friends, according to the new analysis by Consumer Reports. Again, this is reported by CNBC. But again, it's the higher annual fees that have gone up. But of the 26 states that have imposed fees on electric vehicles, 11 charge more for an EV than an owner of a traditional gas-powered car ends up paying in gasoline taxes every year. 3 of those 11 states charge more than twice the amount. Trends for the fees, generally paid through annual registration renewals, don't look promising either. Another 12 states are considering their own EV fee proposals, 7 of which would double over time. The trend over the last year has been to adopt more fees. There may be a backlash against that in the near future, and I hope that there would be, but the trend right now seems to be adding fees. Says a Consumer Reports analyst, Shannon Baker Brandstetter, who co-wrote the study. The fees are used to fund highway projects, maintenance, transportation infrastructure, and so on and so forth. And like I said previously, those have been financed through gas taxes collected at the pump. As more consumers go electric, lawmakers worry they won't generate enough funding to keep the roads repaired, and states argue that the batteries for the electric cars make them heavier than gas-powered vehicles, causing more wear and tear on the road. The Nissan Leaf electric car weighs 3,400 pounds, which is about 1,000 pounds heavier than their similarly sized gas-powered Nissan Versa. Consumer Reports compared existing and proposed EV fees with the average amount of gasoline sales tax consumers generally paid over a year in each of the states. Most states' EV fees are also paid annually. Missouri, for instance, is pushing for the most aggressive fees. There, lawmakers considered a proposal to increase the existing EV fee to 3 times what an owner of a gas-powered vehicle would pay over a year. It seems almost punitive at that point, doesn't it? That fee would then increase to 4 times the fee for gas-powered cars by 2025, according to the magazine's analysis. Illinois tried to adopt a $1,000 annual fee on EV owners earlier this year, but it was later reduced to $250 after the decision faced public backlash, though the fee is still $100 higher than fees for gas-powered cars. It is worth noting that neither state actually has a lot of electric cars on the road. In Missouri, EVs made up just 0.73% of the market share in 2018. And in Illinois, that number was just 1.2% of the population of the cars on the road were EVs. Baker Branstetter, the woman who co-authored the report, said, I think the fact that states that have almost no EVs are adopting some of the highest fees is indicative that the fees are to punish and discourage EVs rather than have them make a meaningful contribution to the road maintenance fund. And that's what it looks like to me. It looks punitive. The move in some states to impose higher EV fees has been led by the American Legislative Exchange Council. The group recently drafted a resolution to support equal tax treatment for all vehicles. Equal tax treatment, even though it doesn't appear to be equal. The group is calling for eliminating EV tax credits and increasing driver fees so that all vehicles using public roads share in the cost. One state is bucking that trend, Vermont, which doesn't surprise anybody. Their lawmakers recently backed off a plan to increase the EV fees after the state's Agency of Transportation came to the conclusion that the fees should not be increased in the future and not until the market for EVs moves beyond the early adopter phase. The agency also said that moving people from gas-powered cars to EVs is essential to meeting the state's short and long-term climate and energy goals. So there you go, my friends. The fees on electric cars appear to be coming. They appear to be rising, and they appear to be bearing no correlation to anything other than just, hey, let's just tax the heck out of these things. And I wonder if there might be some politicking going on, some lobbying going on behind the scenes by people who don't like or don't want to see electric cars on the roads in greater numbers. So there you go, Don. Thanks for passing it along. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.